Yo. We got another video in here for you guys. We're about to get right into it. This is a video about my boy Pagey. I used to watch him back when the Flash TV show was on. Yeah, man, he was like a Flash oriented channel. He don't really get that many views nowadays. I don't think so. I think he was doing like 300, 500. Now he doing like 100K. I mean, he does got a lot of followers, but still, you get it. Um, Anyways, we ready to get right into this. Yeet.
Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video. So, with the Flash TV show wrapping up its 9-season run fairly recently, there were some things that fans wanted wrapped up that we 100% got. But there were some other aspects that fans wished we could have explored more in the show at certain points, whether it was towards the start of that 9-season run or towards the end. Now, any one of you watching could maybe list 2, 3, or maybe more things you would have wanted the show to explore more, but in this video we'll be touching upon the original timeline and everything we know that went down within it and how it differs from the timeline we saw in the show. But throughout the video, feel free to comment if you would have wanted to explore this more and maybe which specific aspect you wanted to see more of, as well as maybe any other things the show missed out on covering. They're like, damn, I wish we saw that or explored more of this. Why'd they tease that, not show it? Things like that. Let me know in the comments. But let's start off. So in the year 2020, Barry Allen is struck by lightning whilst at work after Harrison Wells and his wife Tess Morgan successfully launch a particle accelerator that changed history. Now, we had seen Harrison proposing the idea of a laboratory to his wife Tess in the year 2000, with Tess suggesting the name of Star Labs. This leading to one of the earlier timeline changes when a car crash is caused by that, nefarious Eobard Thawne about a month or so after being trapped in the past, killing Tess instantly within the crash, and Eobard taking on Harrison Wells' likeness, killing Harrison in the process. Meanwhile, over a decade later in 2013, Barry is struck by lightning after Eobard fast-tracks the events of the particle accelerator explosion, this leading to Barry becoming the Flash much earlier than fate originally intended. After becoming the Flash, we are led to believe there is no Team Flash and Barry goes about his own business as the Flash. This going in hand with Barry creating Gideon, him also becoming the director of the CSI division at the Central City Police Department, and also being a founding member of the Justice League, though they don't say Justice League on the show, they just leave it at Justice, and then I think Gideon gets cut off. Now, of course, going back to the Team Flash aspect, we do see that Harrison Wells, who of course is, Eobard Thawne in disguise, convinces Joe West to take Barry into Star Labs after Barry's condition worsened in the altered timeline. But in the original timeline, Henry and Nora Allen obviously are a part of Barry's day-to-day life, so there's no Joe West influence at that part at the very least, and we also don't know if Barry even went into a coma in the original timeline, and maybe was just knocked out for a short time by the lightning hitting him. He came to and shortly after discovered his newly gifted powers. Also in the original timeline, Barry also marries Iris West, her then becoming Iris West Allen, with the two going on to have children like we have in the altered timeline we got on the show, though they have twins, with the daughter of that set of twins being named Dawn. This being revealed by the Eobard Thawne disguised as Harrison Wells, who was of course from the original timeline. Of course, we don't know the name of the other twin, but we can assume it was a boy named Don, leading to Don and Dawn, the Tornado Twins. Now, one thing that we were actually shown from the original timeline that did not remain the same in the altered timeline was the Flash Museum. In the original timeline, the Central City Museum, which we had seen a couple of times and a couple of occasions on the show, went on to become the Flash Museum. We got to see the Flash Museum from the original timeline when Barry ran back in time in the season 1 finale. Now, in the altered timeline, the upper levels of Star Labs do go on to become the Flash Museum in the future, with the lower levels still remaining as a functioning Star Labs area for Barry and Team Flash, though we also know that, Barry in the future in the altered timeline is working with the Justice League and they have a watchtower in space where the Flash might use as a base of operations for a decent amount of time as well. Now, as we see in the Flash Museum in the altered timeline, it is also dedicated to a lot of heroes that worked alongside the Flash, while in the original timeline, due to no Team Flash, we can assume, and possibly less accomplices in fighting crime, at least within Central City, the Flash Museum would have been fully dedicated to the actions of the Flash, with maybe some stuff related to other speedsters, maybe like a Kid Flash that could have been there, and maybe even a Jay Garrick that could have showed up. Now, this is the point in the video and the point in, I guess, the original timeline's timeline where we flash forward to the future, and this is to the 22nd century where we reunite with a bit of a younger Eobard Thawne, who was a devoted fan from this time period who, in order to make himself like his hero and idol, duplicates a reaction that turned Barry Allen into the Flash. But once he is ready to display his newly granted abilities, feels confident to go out there as a speedster, the Flash himself arrives in the future to stop a crime and rains on Eobard's parade. This filling Eobard with jealousy, humiliation, and most importantly, rage and anger and hatred towards the Flash, this kicking off one hell of a rivalry, leading to the actions of the negative Speed Force being created, and just the start of a cycle that Barry would wish did not start. But this is where we cut back to the past, though it is technically the future right now, and this is where we cut to April 25th, 2024 in the original timeline, where Iris West Allen publishes an article with the headline, Flash Missing, Vanishes in Crisis, with this detailing the events of when Barry Allen, aka The Flash, was last seen in the original timeline, with the article, or the most important parts of the article, stating this. After an extreme battle with the Reverse Flash, our city's very own Scarlet Speedster disappeared in an explosion of light. The cause of the fight is currently unknown. According to witnesses, the Flash, with help from Starling City's Green Arrow, the Atom, and Hawkgirl, began fighting the Reverse Flash around midnight last night. The sky took on a deep crimson colour as the ensuing battle created the most destruction the city has seen since the Flash first arrived in Central City. According to reports, as the Flash and Reverse Flash battled with each other between two overturned tanker trucks, the lightning emanating from the speedsters threatened to ignite spilled oil leaking from one of the trucks. The smoke from the truck's engine made it difficult to see, but it appeared at one point they were having a very heated conversation before continuing the fight. Then, suddenly, the Flash sped after Reverse Flash, and the two vanished, leaving the Atom, Green Arrow, and Hawkgirl behind. Central City Police Chief Joe West gave a press conference in the wee hours of the morning stating, "We don't have many details now. What we do know tonight is Central City's greatest protector vanished in a flash. I hope he returns just as quickly." Now, this disappearance from the year 2024 took the Flash and Reverse Flash back exactly 24 years to the year 2000, where, in trying to kill a younger Barry Allen, Eobard ends up murdering Barry's mother, Nora Allen, after the 2024 Barry saves his younger self. This becoming the root of the change in the timeline, but also becoming a brand new fixed point in time for this new altered timeline. This trapping Eobard in the past and unable to get home, and now being the last remaining figure from the original timeline. This now led into the events revolving around Harrison Wells that we talked about earlier in this altered timeline that further change it from the original timeline. In regards to the Flash of the original timeline, his fate is unknown and it was never touched upon. It will forever be a mystery, you would have to think. A fan theory was that in trying to get back to the year 2024, after the events of the year 2000, the original Barry was erased from the timeline due to the changes and ends up becoming the lightning bolt that hits himself that makes him the Flash. Now, the show did not go down this avenue in the altered timeline, but maybe the altered theory could be that he became the lightning bolt that hit the original timeline Barry in the year 2020. But one fact that is crazy to think about is that Barry was only the Flash for around 4 years in the original timeline. He was created in 2020 and he disappeared in 2024, and we don't know if he ever got back. Some other differences in the original timeline that were referenced in the newspaper from Iris in the year 2024 are that Queen Incorporated and Wayne Tech merged in order to find ways to prevent DNA from being damaged by radiation. Reverse Flash also mentioned towards the end of season 1 in the altered timeline that in the original timeline, Oliver Queen, or Green Arrow, went on to live to the age of 86 years old, which is, much longer than the altered timeline. So yeah, it is pretty crazy to think that the Flash was only around for 4 years in this original timeline before, potentially disappearing forever, though we never got to, see that. And there was some frustration that we never really got to touch upon the original timeline, though it was sort of stated pretty early on in the show, like halfway, 2/3 through season 1, that we really only ever follow our Barry. And when he changes timelines, so do we. And I will actually be doing a video on about all the timelines that we've visited throughout the show, which will start with the original timeline. And you think there might only be 4 or 5, but our boy Barry loves changing times. Or changing the timeline, or maybe some other people like changing the timeline as well. So there's much more than 4 or 5 timelines to dive into and see what either changed them or was different within them. So I would have loved to have seen some of this original timeline, even if it was maybe tapping into Eobard Thawne's origin, which would have been one way to actually properly dive into the original timeline and also meet that original timeline Flash that did become the Flash when he was much older, but once again only existed for a handful of years. So it's disappointing that we maybe didn't get it, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. But maybe we can have our own fan theories in our heads in regards to what happened throughout that original timeline, which villains, specifically this Flash versed and everything like that. But yeah, that's everything that happened in the original timeline that we know.
Alright, that was good. We got a lot of videos we doing today. Ready to get into the next one.